I feel like Freaks and Geeks is a show that a lot of people wish was not canceled as soon as it
Yeah.
was. Because I don't know, you hear different stories about that too, how the cast finds out that all of a sudden they won't be coming back for another
Yeah,
season. Is it like a
sometimes you
phone
just hear it
call?
in an article that's like
Yeah, which is
all of
so
a sudden.
crazy.
Yeah, you're like, "What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Ugh,
oh,
guess that's
Hmm.
oh,
done.
is that real? Is this fake news? What is this?"
Oh.
I feel like we all kind of knew there were like murmurs and whatever. And, also when it was like, okay, I think they only greenlit us for like a certain amount of episodes, but then they kept extending the episodes to more
Mm,
episodes. And then finally it was like, this is the cat, like, you're only going to, you were only filming 18 episodes and that's it. And it was like,
mm,
I think like obviously Judd and Paul and the higher ups, they knew because they were talking to NBC a lot and the network and stuff. And
mhm.
they could feel the disappointment and the ratings and all those sorts of things. And so I they wrote obviously some episodes to be like an ender for Freaks and Geeks if it was going to end, because I'm sure they pretty much felt like we're not going forward after this. So it's like,
Mm.
and everyone knew it was kind of like an ender ender.
Mhm.
There was hope, there was always hope, but it was like we felt it on set a little bit towards the end that, you know, we may not see another season.
Mhm.
Hmm.
But, there's other networks and we might be able to like shop around
Yeah.
and maybe another network will pick us up because that happens all the time.
Yeah.
So there is always that like little bit of hope. But and there actually were like networks that were interested in the show, like HBO wanted to pick it up, I think MTV wanted to pick it up.
Oh,
And it was
wow.
like, but the thing about it is that they weren't willing to put in the amount of money that NBC could put in for every episode. And
Mm.
Judd and
Uh,
Paul and everybody were like, we're not making it for any less money. It would not be the same show that we're making right now. Like we need the
Hmm.
music, you know we need to shoot it on 35 millimeter. Like we need the costumes, we need the set, like it's a period piece. And like we need the cast, like
mhm.
we need the money to do
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
if we're going to do it. And so they were like, they weren't willing to make a second season for less money than
Mm.
what NBC gave. So they just said no.
Which honestly, good for them for not doing a show that they wouldn't be proud of and actually
Absolutely.
sticking to
I
it.
like, it's a bummer because like obviously we'd all would have liked a second season, all would have liked to have worked and continued to make this awesome show that we were making. But I totally respect that decision.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that was a very, very difficult decision to make.
Yeah, I can't even
Hmm.
imagine.
And I
But I'm glad they
sometimes,
made it. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And I feel like sometimes there's been shows and movies, different things that it's weird when they first come out, sometimes it doesn't really land with people or they don't
Right.
really
Oh,
know what they're seeing. And then in like 10 years
totally.
down the line, it's becomes like
Mhm.
a cult classic and people love it. And I
Right.
think maybe this kind of is something like that. I mean, there's so many amazing actors that came from Freaks and Geeks and
Right.
actresses. So maybe
Yeah.
just at the time, people didn't really know what to do with it because it was kind of its own thing. But then now I feel like people rewatch and with stream, like
Yeah.
people love to
Yeah.
bring stuff back. It's funny, it makes you think like how would it have done today or what would people think of it?
Yeah. I feel like back in 99, 2000, when we aired, it was like WB, it was WB, not CW yet, I think, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
On
Yeah.
Yeah.
WB was like, that is where all the teen shows were about
Uh-huh.
high school, and it was like Popular and Buffy
Yeah.
and but it was like very like glamour, like
Mhm.
these people aren't real, like these like
You
they're
can't
these
really relate to
you
them.
can't relate to
Yeah.
them. It's like it's a Hollywood version of high school.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's what was going on. Those were the shows. Everyone had to look really beautiful and um, thin and all these sorts of, like it was,
Yeah.
they were very particular about how the show was, if it was a teen show.
Mhm.
And this just didn't fit into that mold at all during that time.
Mhm.
Right.
But now, of course, like if it was Netflix, you know,
Yeah.
or HBO, like all these different Hulu, like all these different streaming platforms that are on now, were back then, it would be a totally different
Mhm.
thing, like
Oh
a
my gosh, yeah.
completely different show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it will, I guess, trajectory of the show, you know, like
Sure.
Mhm.
it would have been just very different. It just, yeah, it was the wrong time for this show, I guess, but
Mhm.
maybe the right time. I mean,
Yeah,
I
'cause
don't know, like
mhm.
it's a people remember it. But people remember it too as being like a short-lived, like little gem of a show
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
is that's a bummer that it got canceled and it should never have gotten canceled, sort of thing. So like, and that's
Right.
one of the stories about Freaks and Geeks. So it's like maybe, I don't know, this
Yeah.
Mhm.
would have been totally different.